What's going on, guys? It's 4:52 in the afternoon. Yeah, I'm ducking calls today from a tax attorney at this point. I need to get the paperwork. In order for me to get the paperwork signed, I need to get it printed out and sent back to them, or they scanned and faxed over to them. But I need documentation. In order for me to get documentation, I need to get it printed. In order for me to get it printed, I need to go over to a place to get it printed. I've already got that set up for tomorrow, so I am not going to stress over this damn situation. Not yet, anyway. 4:53 right now. Okay. So there's a lot of things happening that are a bit freaky. Trump may win. He's already winning in Florida regarding court cases that got dropped, and Georgia seems to be dropping the ball over there. So that's two major states, or actually one federal and one state. I don't know what the hell's going on. I need to go into national to find out what the hell is going on with that situation. If that's not good enough, what else is going on? Oh yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the psychopath from where the hell she ever comes from, tried to do a floor vote to oust Speaker Johnson. Crash and burned. Didn't work. Didn't do it. Got tabled. So now we're okay on that one, aren't we? Oh, gets even better. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the conspiracy nut job, revealed by the New York Times when they finally when they did some digging into his medical history and information over here. I found out in previous, about a decade and a half ago, that Kennedy has brain damage due to a worm that got into his head, ate portions of his brain, and then died. I think they found it either through X-rays or a CAT scan or even an MRI. All three. But then again, we're not privy to his medical records because of HIPAA laws, Privacy Act. So that's all right. That's all right. He's entitled to his privacy, but the problem is he's going to be a public president at this point over here, and therefore his information is made public, or to be made public. And if he's going to have full faculties, as he keeps blaming that Trump and President Biden don't have, but he's showing cognitive disability going on because of a worm that physically ate part of his brain. The public needs to know that one too, because we don't know whether or not he's sane or not. Wasn't that fun to hear? Quite frankly, I'm not screaming out that it's the end of the world because I was hearing the rumors and I really didn't want to talk about it. Or if I did, maybe I've got a worm in my head and I just forgot about the whole situation. But it was said a long time ago when Ted Turner owned CNN, and I probably said this one already, but I'll say it again. What the hell? That there was a ultimate. Yeah, actually, I did say this one concerning about a video that said, "Thank you for the end of the world, and we're all gonna die." I don't know, something like that. Hold on, I gotta hear this one.
RFK Jr.'s brain. So the New York Times is reporting that Kennedy found the dead worm parasite after suffering from severe memory loss and mental fog. And so then he goes to several top neurologists, and they see a dark spot on one of his brain scans. And according to a deposition a couple of years later, Kennedy says a doctor in New York determined that the spot was caused by, quote, a worm that got into my brain and ate a portion of it and then died. Now, RFK Jr. responding to this report, posting on social media tonight, quote, I offer to eat 5 more brain worms and still beat President Trump and President Biden in debate, making light of the whole thing. But Professor Scott Gardner runs one of the world's largest parasite collections at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and he joins me now because truly, Professor Gardner, this is something that has captivated people in disturbing ways. So RFK Jr. says that the worm got in his brain and ate a portion of it. So as an expert on parasites, does that sound right to you? Is this the kind of thing that can happen?
Well, yes, you can get these kinds of parasites in your brain, but it doesn't really eat the brain. Basically, it just grows and then moves some of the brain out of the way as it's growing. So it's basically a tapeworm larva, probably, that got in there when he was on one of his trips to the to either the South Pacific or into Asia. And then it was in there for a while, and apparently, from what I've heard, is that it's dead now. So then it starts to calcify and kind of goes away. It doesn't really go away, but it just stays there. It's not going anywhere once it starts to calcify.
So it was there, as he says, it's there, calcified. I mean, the whole thing is just deeply disturbing, I think, for all of us. I mean, just to imagine that the Times, New York Times reports, Professor, that in this deposition, RFK Jr. says, quote, I have cognitive problems, clearly, I have short-term memory loss, and I have longer-term memory loss that affects me. Um, is this something that could happen from parasites like this?
Oh, definitely. This kind of a parasite that we think that it is. I don't know if they got a species diagnosis on it or not, but this kind of parasite is pretty common in people around the world where hygiene is not so good, and people eat pig, and so pork is a staple, and the basic life cycle goes from human to pig, and where people get in there, in the problem sometimes, the problem is that sometimes the eggs are ingested accidentally, and then they basically burrow into your intestine and then get distributed around in the blood system and end up in the brain or any other part of your body. But they really do gravitate towards the brain quite a bit, the species.
Okay, so why is that? How does it get from your, I mean, the whole thing is just horrible to contemplate, but how does it get from your intestine into your brain? I mean, is it,
well, there's a couple ways it
move
could go.
Up there? How does that happen?
Well, we could go into it quite detail, but what happens is the egg hatches in the small intestine. It goes into the blood system, the hepatic portal system, goes into your liver. If it makes it to the liver, it goes to the heart. If it makes it to the heart, it goes to the lungs. If it makes it back, and it might get stuck in any of those places. If it makes it to the lungs, then it goes back to the heart, and then goes out to any part of the body. And for some reason, this species but many times ends up in the brain of its host, and people have this quite often, and it's called Tinea solium. It's the pork tapeworm. Very interesting one.
So is he lucky? Is RFK Jr. lucky that didn't do more damage?
Yes, especially since he only had one. That means he probably was infected by someone who didn't wash their hands after using the bathroom or something. So there was, or perhaps infected salad, a salad with a tapeworm egg on it. He probably didn't have the tapeworm actually growing in his intestine. The way this parasite works is it uses humans as the main host and pigs as the intermediate host. But if the person, if he had this, if he'd had a tapeworm in him, he could have been infected from one of the tapeworm eggs inside him, but more than likely it was probably an accidental infection from some hygienic problem in a restaurant or somewhere else.
All right. Well, Professor Gardner, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. And thanks very much to all of you for being with us here live from Milwaukee. AC 360 starts now.
All in with Chris Hayes now.
And then they fell into it. And a rare moment of agreement on Capitol Hill.
Declaring the office of Speaker of the House of Representatives to be vacant.
As Democrats team up with Republicans to save Speaker Johnson's job.
It's just another Wednesday on Capitol Hill.
And All In starts right now.
We're not having enough fun right now as it is.
Good evening.
Okay, sorry about that. That was CNN, Aaron Burnett out front, talking with a parasitologist, I think, and talking about how a foreign body got into his brain. Let's put it simply that way. Right now, the political pundits I'm trying to get some more information on, and they'll talk about some of the stuff about Trump and his luckiness, I want to call it that word, regarding Florida and Georgia. I was going to talk about another thing about Chip Roy. I found something interesting when I was looking at one of the independents. They were talking about Chip Roy from Texas with having an issue over England having Muslim names. in certain towns. And then Chip Roy's saying, "We got Sharia law going over there. We got Muslims taking over. They're coming over here. They're going to take over this." And he had a conniption fit on the house floor concerning about Sharia law. Well, then I got something to match him on this one. We already got Sharia law in the country. It's called Christian nationalism. Basically, Christian Sharia law. It's either you're a Christian or you're not. Either you're with us or you're not. Give me a frickin' break. And I was watching all day, or actually parts of the day, and missing all this fun stuff happening. Um, I was watching about Vietnam War. I was seeing how the country was back then dealing with a war that happened. And it was a war between the United States and Vietnam. North Vietnam, anyway. How things were back then, how we viewed the wars, and how we viewed things left and right. Trying to compare them to today. How Israel was dealing with their situation. Dealing with an insurgency, but no, there was no comparison on this one. It was just pure genocide. So, I'm going to let the pundits talk about how bad it is and how Trump's going to be winning the office. Yeah, it kind of puts me in a depressional stage at this point. But then again, I probably expected it anyway. People say the system didn't work. Well, maybe the system did work, except not what we expected, not what we hoped for. But even if that's the case, there's still other things happening. So I'm still looking forward to that stuff to happen. Sharia law. And let's see, what was it? Earlier today or yesterday, TikTok still trying to sue the United States government for the law they passed concerning about the ban. If TikTok doesn't get, at least the American portion of it, doesn't get an American owner, it's going to be banned from government and private. And they're saying that you can't do that. It's illegal as hell. Watch them. Watch them. They're going to declare national security, and it's going to try trumping over anything and everything else. Meanwhile, some of the politicians, both local in their states and national, are still trying to go over this stuff. So I'm going to be ending off this particular short video. Listen to what the MSNBC guys are going to be muttering about. The evening guys, I don't have as much of an issue. Morning guy, I do. I'll deal with CNN in the morning and MSNBC in the night. So, ew.